Good afternoon, and welcome to today's virtual product review. My name is Lee McGuire, and I am the Director of Marketing and Communications at the Monitoring Association. Thank you for joining us today. All of us at TMA, like so many of you, are working remotely now due to the pandemic. Our thoughts are with you, your colleagues, and your families at this time. Please be vigilant and stay safe and well. We are here for you. Please visit tma.us for up-to-date information on state and federal guidelines, as well as an expansive library of other valuable resources to aid you in your business. We'll also be hosting virtual town hall meetings weekly beginning on Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where you can share your challenges and best practices with industry peers. We welcome anyone who wishes to join us. Before we begin, I'd like to confirm our audio and introduce some of the features of our webinar. Can someone please touch the hand symbol to let me know that they can hear me? Thank you so much. Located on the right-hand side of your screen, you will see some of the features in your attendee control panel. You will be able to type questions anytime during the presentation by clicking on the questions. However, to keep things moving, we will raise them at the end of the presentation. We are recording this presentation, and you will receive a link to it in just a few days. It will also be posted on our website and can be streamed at any time. Today, we are pleased to have TMA member Dice Corporation share how the company has been able to assist monitoring centers and service providers in going virtual. The coronavirus pandemic has fundamentally changed the way many organizations operate for the foreseeable future, as governments and businesses around the world have recommended self-quarantine, social distancing, and office closures. Remote working has become a new reality. Operational changes have impacted the alarm industry significantly. Monitoring stations handle thousands of life safety calls and interactions every day, and no matter what the circumstances, customers rely on operators to respond without interruption. In this presentation, we will explore the importance of establishing a disaster recovery and remote working plan, and how you can support your customers when it matters most. I'd like to welcome our speakers today, Cliff Dice, the Dice Corporation President, and Avi Lupo, Executive Vice President of Dice. Cliff is the CEO and founder of Dice Corporation, one of the leading producers of technology and services for the alarm and security industry. Under Dice's leadership, Dice Corporation has helped shape security for over 30 years with innovative solutions like the Matrix line of monitoring, sales, and service software. Cliff was also at the forefront of cloud technology in the security industry with the introduction of cloud hosting and cloud video recording solutions. Joining Cliff today is Avi Lupo, Executive Vice President. Avi recently joined the Dice team, bringing over 30 years of management experience in the security industry. Prior to joining Dice, Avi served as the president and CEO of Miami-based Kent Technologies. There, he led the development of robust preventative and interactive security technology, including camera, surveillance, facial recognition, and remote guarding services throughout North America. Among his many accomplishments, Avi formed strategic alliances that introduced video as a service to the security industry, establishing industry standards. Without further ado, I'd like to begin today's presentation. Cliff and Avi, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, and everyone, thank you for joining us. Avi, if you will go over the challenges for us.
Sure. So we're looking at the security industry from monitoring perspective. We're actually servicing tens of millions of customers, and we provide a variety of services that many of them are life safety, fire alarm system, PER system, intrusion, some other traditionally in the security industry, by UL code, the typical central station need to have all the operation and some of the equipment at the site. And with this new situation that everybody is needed to deal with the new reality we're at, people need to work from remote. So we're talking about it's not only the central station, we have everything that has to do with signaling and central station, but it's wider than that. We're talking about everything that has to do with accounting, with the service, the technical support, and other departments with their organization as well.
Okay, so in the 90s, when we started doing DR sites, and we're probably most well known for doing DR centers and being able to switch central stations to a backup facility and continue to operate. UL has always seen that as possible, and they always said that, you know, whatever it takes to protect the end user, the customer, and continue to do your job. But in this particular COVID-19, they actually came out with a written statement pretty much stating the same thing. And as you know, the situation with a central station is, you know, how do I get to my automation software? How do I get my phone calls and make them and answer them? And in a case like this, where you're not just switching to a different site, you're actually, it's like an evacuation. Evacuations of the central station have always been part of the DR plan. So this isn't unusual, and it's not that big of a deal. I mean, a lot of people have made it into a big deal. Anyways, UL is behind us on this and always has been. So next slide. Can we go to the next slide? Oh, sorry. Oh, no, go back. I didn't see it. Basically, let's tackle the phone number situation. When you switch to another center or you switch to people working at home, the biggest thing is, how do I get the phone calls there? And if you're a big central, like some of the DICE centrals where you got 40, 50 people in the central station, they're in different groups, and that you have to be able to move the calls to those and continue to treat the people at home as if they're in the same room. And if you think about it, it's fairly easy because the people in the same room have different addresses. Well, the addresses can be the same whether they're at home or they're in the same building in the same room. So the ways to do this is they can have soft phones, meaning an app installed on their PC that acts as their phone. Or it can be a hard SIP phone that you issue to them and they take home and plug into the internet. Or it can literally be their cell phone. And the cell phone is my favorite. I love that because you can pre-assign their cell phone to be their extension. And if they walk away from their desk and they don't log out, it just does a follow me feature. It just follows them on their cell phone and their extension goes with them. We moved this under this scenario to the cloud. So rather than it be on a fixed PBX in your central station or your building, we're literally moving it to the cloud. So it becomes much more flexible. And as a telecom provider, which we are, we can easily route to your PBX or to these phones that are mobile. Next slide. Now, with PBXs, you can also put a PBX into the cloud. I suggest this as a backup. If you do have a key switch or something local on site that isn't as flexible, at least your backup switch is in. And if you practice this, you can have a PBX in the cloud, like we call ours an IPBX, that if your PBX goes down, you switch to that switch and it still pushes calls to your central. But if you have to evacuate, you switch to that switch and now it routes the calls to your mobile people who are going home or they're going to some other facility to log in. This becomes very easy then and something that you can practice fairly inexpensively. It's seamless too because any groups you set up, like if you got 10 operators or 10 stations you're delivering calls to in the center, you switch to the backup switch, they still go to the 10. Operators get up, walk away, go home. It goes to their 10 cell phones, same group, same everything. Nothing changes. Okay, next slide. Avi, I believe you're doing the phone.
Sure. If you look at the left side of the screen, so we're looking here at the centralized ecosystem, which ensure smooth workflow between the different departments in the organization. So the first one is the monitoring, the event management. So we're looking at the full integration between the PBX and the other function of a typical company, including the on-site, the people, as well as the receiver and the signal flow from alarm panels to the receiver to the operator with the full integration with the telecom system. Then we're looking at the telco and ISP, so we're looking at the virtual PBX that have the complete integration into the automation, as well as the cloud recording of all the phone calls. On the telephone, there are two types. The type of integrated into the central station, and the other type is type of extension for the normal business operation. Then we're looking at the business management, so everything that has to do with accounting, inventory, CRM to keep the sales management, all that under one platform and under the same flow that can be done from anywhere. And the next part is the technical support, so that's a big challenge, and we're looking at everything that has to do with handling the events, handling and providing support from remote, as well as all the management, including the scheduling, assignment, and things of this nature. And that last but not least is the video platform that have a full capability that including video verification, cloud recording, smart searches, and other efficiency that has to do with the video, which are fully integrated under this platform. The only idea that we have one centralized platform that can provide all the services of any of each individual in the organization, and everything is under the same centralized platform. Next.
Go back. I'm going to do the right side of that for a second. Basically, just we're talking about the virtual IPVX on the right side of the screen with the central station. You know, before we always had our automation, we had our own PBX, everything was dice-centric. Today, a lot of our PBXs are integrated with all the other modern platforms, and as an R&D facility for the alarm industry, we focus on not only our platform, but how do we enhance all the other softwares that you have. So if you have other automation or you've got other PBXs, we can enhance it by being your DR switch or being the PBX that you have hooked to your other automation. We don't have to be everything. So just to kind of lay that out. Okay, I'll go to the next slide. Now, here's how it works. In the cloud, basically, you've got the employee's house. There's a virtual PBX in the cloud or a virtual carrier. We can also be a virtual carrier where we deliver the calls to that service in the house. And then they've got their cloud IP services in your central station. A lot of customers have already moved their receiver signals to the cloud, and therefore they don't even have receivers in the central. In case they had to shut down the central or move, they could do that. So go to the next. And we have a bunch of customers that we switched over, and we'll continue to put those on the website that I'm going to give you here in a few minutes. We switched over Ackerman, and there's a testimonial there. They have about 40, 50 operators in the central station. And we switched over TriStar, which is a dealer central. We've switched over about 15 centrals to work from home, about 1,000 operators so far, and we've got maybe another 15 customers this week that are doing it. We've also got other people who have automation systems that aren't ours that we're helping with the infrastructure, the connectivity to their automation system, receiving signals, how to get these phone calls to their people's cell phones or their SIP phones at their house. So we can easily do that. Go to the next slide. And this is a life-changing event. It's not happened before, but we understand it may happen more. This may be a seasonal thing that you'll have to deal with periodically. So it's very important that you set up these DR systems to do that. Next. And we have a website, dicecorp.com, but if you put in /COVID-19, you'll see some of the testimonial videos, and you'll see some of the news articles and some of the other things. We'll post more news on that site. So thank you very much. Any questions?
Yes, we do have some questions. Our first question is, can you use the virtual IPBX and the other services if you're using a non-DICE automation system?
Yeah, we have quite a few customers. It can operate as an independent phone switch. We built it for the alarm industry. In other words, we have things built into that for PERS and for call delivery and integration with automation. But some of the automation providers have used our APIs to even build more enhancements like PERS and things to it. So yeah, it'll work with auto dialing or any of those functions that the other automation systems have.
Great. Our next question is, how quickly can DICE set up a monitoring station currently?
Well, in an emergency, we've done some in less than a few days. Obviously, if somebody's switching from other automation software, it takes us, we have to convert the data. But we have had some where we had one that got a virus and they were on a different automation platform, and it was a ransomware attack, and they had a backup of their data. We converted it in a couple of days, and we stood them up in the center within a couple of days. And we had never even seen that customer or their data or anything. So it can be done pretty quick.
Will this work with physical site phone systems which utilize a PRI service for voice?
Yeah, what we actually do is we port the numbers over those physical PRIs into the cloud, and then we can direct the calls at the PRIs, or we can direct them to the cloud extensions. So that's how they get moved. And you're going to want to move off those physical PRIs, because the telephone industry, as it retires the copper, it will retire those PRIs, and they're not going to be around forever. Most carriers are moving to SIP trunks over internet circuits, and you want to do that anyway, because in internet circuit you can get redundancy, and then your voice calls can fail over between carriers, between different redundant paths. When you're on a PRI and a physical circuit, you're cemented into one connection to the local CO, and if it goes down, you're dead. So you're going to want to get off that stuff anyway.
We did have a question, and this also raises, DICE has provided a handout for you, and one of the attendees was asking what that handout was for. I believe it covers the item that you're speaking to. Is that correct?
Yes. It's just a summary of what we're talking about.
So those that are attending, please feel free to download that at any time. Are there any other questions?
They're all good questions.
Will our clients experience any delays or notice a difference when contacting us?
No, the way that works is when those numbers are up into a virtual circuit, and let's say you wanted to send your operators home, or let's say you only wanted to send one operator home. You might, when you have this service, you can basically say, I just want Angie to go home. She doesn't feel good, but she can go work from home. Well, she picks up her phone and she goes home. When she gets home and she logs in, instead of the calls going to her extension at her desk, they're just going to her cell phone. That's the way I like to do it. Her cell phone becomes the extension on her desk. She can make calls. It looks as if it came out of your central because it's putting your caller ID on instead of her cell phone. And when she takes the call, it's routing it as it would in your center from the intelligence in the PBX to her cell phone. And then, of course, connectivity is the automation platform or the accounting platform, service platform. This could be any system. It doesn't have to be your central station. Typically, those are VPN links that we set up for you. We put in the internet connectivity. We make the VPN tunnels. They click on a VPN client on their PC, connect to the network, and now they're on the automation platform or whatever the platform is, and the calls go directly as if they would on your PBX, so there is no delay.
And just to add to that, and it can go to soft phone as well as to hardline phone at the house that's connected to voice basically. So cell phone,
yeah, we have some
phone and soft phone, yeah.
Yeah, we have some clients that have an app on their PC and they don't even have any phones in their central. The PC is basically the phone and the automation platform. In that case, a lot of my clients, they'll set up emergency PCs and just hand them out, and they go home and they got the phone and everything. You can do that as well. And then a VoIP phone is just a phone they plug in the internet, and then they got a hard phone. It's really your preference. The soft phone or using the cell phone are the cheapest ways to do it and work pretty well. So go ahead.
Our next question from an attendee, does paging work with your system?
Yeah, paging, we have an SMS service, and in fact, a lot of the other automation platforms have integrated to us to use the paging service, but Matrix does paging, and DICE has a patent on two-way paging for alarm activity for cancellation. What that does is it sends out an SMS, the people cancel or authorize the dispatch, which cuts down about 30% of the alarms in the central station, and it also acknowledges your two-call verification. So instead of an operator making two voice calls to two parties, you just send out two SMSs. If they respond, great. If they don't, you did your two-call verification. You can move on to dispatch. So a lot of my customers use that. That's seamlessly integrated into our system, but you could also use it with any automation platform as well.
Okay, that particular attendee is clarifying the question. He was referring to like an internal page, I guess, from colleague to colleague.
Oh, I see. Yeah, and if you have the capability to like send out a message or a call to all parties, that would continue to work the same way, because all you're really doing with these cell phones is they're becoming an extension off your PBX, your virtual PBX. So if you wanted to ring all phones, like sometimes people will have a ring all group, like in service or something, you ring all 10 phones. If people leave their desk and they go home and they got 10 cell phones, you're going to ring all 10 cell phones the same way. There's no difference at all.
Okay. Our next question. How do you handle the 911 service for users who use the mobile app?
Well, when they use the mobile app, if they dial 911, they're not using the mobile app that we're connecting the central station to. They're actually using their cell phone. So if they dialed 911, it would do the same thing as if they dialed 911 and they're not on your PBX. It would show their location. It would call 911. It would be their cell phone number, not your PBX number.
Next question. If an operator uses their own cell phone like you described, will their personal phone numbers be hidden from outbound calls?
Yes, because when they're making the call from their cell phone, it's literally connected to your virtual PBX, and it's making the call out of your PBX. So they're just an extension on your PBX. So it's using your number. It's no different than if a phone was registered in your center or they're registered on their cell to the PBX. Same thing. It's just think of it as an extension. We're just manipulating their cell phone to be a phone on your PBX as an extension. That's really all we're doing. Pretty simple.
Okay. Do we have any other questions before we close today? All right. I am not seeing any. So I would like to thank Cliff, Avi, and the DICE team for this presentation, and to all of you for attending this virtual product review. If you have any questions, please indicate your interest on the follow-up evaluation, or if you are listening to this review as a recording, please visit DICE Corporation online at www.dicecorp.com. Please don't forget to complete the very short survey at the end of the webinar. Your feedback is very important to us. This concludes our review today. Everyone be safe.